Thank you for joining us for today's OR Today webinar series. We have a great presentation for you today featuring Jim Stobinski, CEO of the Competency and Credentialing Institute, and Lisa Rosenfield, Special Projects and Partnerships Lead with CCI. OR Today would like to thank our sponsor, CCI. CCI is a nonprofit credentialing body dedicated to perioperative nursing. Their mission is to improve patient outcomes through nursing competency, assessment, and lifelong professional development. For more information, visit cc-institute.org. For over 20 years, OR Today has provided perioperative and SPD professionals with up-to-date news and information about their profession. Our monthly magazine aims to educate readers about new guidelines, techniques, and equipment, as well as practical information for career building, problem solving, and overall well-being. If you would like a free subscription to our magazine, please visit ortoday.com/subscribe. Today's webinar is eligible for 1 CE hour by the State of California Board of Registered Nursing. You can obtain your certificate by completing today's post-webinar survey. The survey will be emailed out shortly after the completion of today's webinar. You must complete the survey to receive your CE hour. You will be able to download the certificate directly from your computer once the survey is submitted. If you have any questions, you can reach us at webinar@mdpublishing.com. As I mentioned earlier, Jim and Linda are our presenters today and will share with you a program overview of CCI's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Awards. Lisa, you may begin whenever you are ready.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. And as mentioned, I am with Jim Stobinski, the CEO of CCI, and I am Lisa Rosenfield, the Special Projects and Partnership Lead, and we are happy that you are joining us today. We'd like to start by sharing our DEI statement, and this was put together and approved by our Board of Directors. And CCI leadership, management, and governing bodies jointly support the fair treatment and dignity of all human beings. The certifying organization does not discriminate against its stakeholders, including applicants, certificates, volunteers, or employees, as to age, sex, race, religion, national origin, ethnicity, disability, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, or any other basis prohibited by applicable law. And the reason that we have started the DEI Awards program is because there are a number of issues that we're trying to address. So on the screen, you'll see the first one is indicating that it's increasingly difficult to staff ORs, and CCI specifically is seeing record year-over-year increases for nurses retiring their credentials for the past few years, beginning in 2019. And evidence from recent interactions with perioperative nurse leaders validates this information. So we saw a need and we found a way to fill that need, and that was the foundation of this program. So the opportunities that we saw included facilitating access to resources and increasing diversity for perioperative nursing. And we're specifically looking for facilities which are under-resourced, underrepresented, or in need. We also wanted to support early engagement for novice perioperative nurses so that they would start their relationship with CCI sooner and earlier in their careers. We want to increase the number of rural nurses in perioperative nursing. We want to expand certification rates for those nurses in rural facilities. And we also want to improve the quality of training for operating rooms in rural facilities. And we do have some information about the makeup of the perioperative nursing workforce and some data sources, which Jim is going to discuss with you now.
All right, thanks, Lisa. So I have the middle of the presentation, and then I will turn it back to Lisa and she'll finish. So let's talk about what do we know about the perioperative nursing workforce? What are the data sources? So CCI actually has a fair amount of information. but there's at least two caveats here. Number one, we have good contact with nurses that are certified. We don't have very good contact for the vast majority of nurses who do not choose to be certified. I'll tell you the numbers here lately. Later in the presentation, I'll share the numbers, but we have far from all of the nurses that are in perioperative nursing choose to be certified. All of our credentials are completely voluntary. So for those people who choose to be certified and engage, we have information. However, prior to January 1st of 2021, as an organization, from a leadership perspective, we did not choose to gather information about things like race, ethnicity, etc., and we didn't gather it. I will also say that unless nurses update their records as to education level, etc., we don't, pulling stuff from the existing database, which goes back to the late 70s, is not that helpful because it's not current. What we do have good information, and it's getting better, it's getting much better as we work on this, is from January 1st of 2021 and going forward. So we support research in this area, and we are accumulating data through the Research Foundation and our grants. And most of the information I'm going to share with you comes from either job analysis surveys or from post-examination surveys over the last about 16, 18 months. So here's what we know thus far. Perioperative nursing does not reflect the makeup of the population of the United States or American nursing. So let's talk about demographic characteristics that we know. So this is the National Nursing Survey sample from 2020. That is the latest information. In 23, we'll get more, but this is the latest that's available right now. So this is by gender, what it has looked like over the last 7 or 8 years as far as the makeup of all of American nursing. We actually asked this question now in post-exam surveys. So this is from over the last few months. This is 2022. This is the makeup of nurses that have taken the CNOR exam. So we actually have a bit more male nurses than typically is found in all of nursing. Also, age groups. So in the blue, we have the National Nursing Survey sample, and these are age bands, roughly 10-year bands. They're roughly the same for the information that we gather, but in 2021, we funded a research study of almost 4,000 subjects. You will note, and the other thing to be aware of, about 80+% of the people that responded to that survey were certified. So for certified perioperative nurses, this is what the age groups look like. You will note when you look at the age bands, that does not look like all of nursing. Now, this might look a little different if we were able to access all of perioperative nursing, but this is what CCI knows. My suspicion here is due to the physically demanding nature of perioperative nursing, that once people get into their mid-60s, they may leave the profession or the specialty and go on to other specialties, other work. I'm sorry, Jim has a little bit of a cold, but let's try to plow through this. So this is from our research study. This also points out that by educational breakdown, we also do not look like all of nursing. And again, These are mainly certified nurses. Before this study, if you had asked me what the makeup is, I don't think I would have estimated it to be this, but this is what we found in our study. So again, we do the certified perioperative nurses, the ones that we can get information from, they look different than all of American nursing. This we found particularly interesting. So in the one column here, this is, sorry, the race and ethnicity of the United States is the 2020 national census. In the middle, we have the race and ethnicity for all of nursing. And if we look at the far right, it says the 2021 CCI study, almost 4,000 subjects. That's what perioperative nursing looks like. So I had said earlier, we don't reflect the general American population, but we're also different than all of nursing. And we're beginning to understand that better now. So the question is, why do we devote resources to a program like this? The OR is the economic engine of the hospital, and it has to be staffed. The demand for surgery is not going down, especially if we consider the age of the American population. However, the skill sets needed by perioperative nurses are going to continue to evolve, and there will be a need for lifelong learning. CCI is not the only one that has a DEI program that's in the space with perioperative nursing. AORN is active in this area, and also the one recruiting agency, the placement agency, Whitman Partners, they also have a program. So these are good reasons to do this program. We have resources at CCI, and we think that offering our resources is part of the solution, and it makes sense. We're a nonprofit. We exist to support perioperative nursing. We think this sort of support makes sense. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa, who I will point out does not have a cold, so this will probably go better. And she's going to finish the presentation. Lisa is now going to talk to us about what exactly is this awards program. Oh, I got it. All right. Okay, so sorry, Lisa's going to have me cover another couple slides. My mistake. All right, so we're going to use, Lisa and I have worked together for years, so I'm very good with getting corrected on the fly. All right, we are going to use the resources from Certified Foundational Perioperative Nurse. This is our new credential. This is what it's about. We think that putting resources at the very beginning of a career is a logical step. CFPN is for nurses who have recently completed a perioperative nursing orientation program. It's time limited. It's only good for 2 years, and there's no renewal, but it gives us a mechanism to engage with nurses early, put them on a professional development course, and then they're essentially compelled to go on to other credentials. However, once they hold this credential, they have access to all of the resources at CCI, to include our learning management system and all of our continuous professional development materials. These are the 4 parts. This is different. If you hold CNOR or CSSM, this is different. Someone who applies for CFPN must move through these in sequence, starting with the knowledge-based test. They have to complete them all, and upon completing them all, they will then get a digital badge and a certificate for the CFPN credential. It engages them early. They get feedback reports for all of these steps. They get a digital badge for each one they complete. And yes, does it feel like a video game? Is it gamification where you earn a badge and go to another level? Yes, admittedly so. But the important thing for you to remember, if you're in a leadership position, nursing professional development, a nurse that holds CFPN, they are then eligible to test for CNOI or CNAB if they're otherwise eligible at 18 months experience. So this is a way to engage nurses early and basically jumpstart their career. So we decided to use the assets of CFPN as part of the DEI program. And at this point, I believe it actually is Lisa's turn, and she's going to talk about the program.
It certainly is. So our goals are overall that we are wanting to increase the resources for hospitals, which are under-resourced, underrepresented, or in need. And we want to give them materials and methods for perioperative specific preceptor training. And we also want to bring an increased number of rural nurses into the field of perioperative nursing. So those are the goals the program is built on. We have two components. We have an individual component and a facility component. And I'm going to discuss each of those. And then on a broader level, we have a community outreach component with our board of directors. And I'll discuss that in just a moment as well. So with regard to the individual component, the applications are opening on June 1st and closing on July 31st. And the application questions target the items that we're looking to focus on. And so anyone who receives the individual award will be able to take the CFPN credential portions, those 4 parts that Jim discussed, for free, for no cost. And then after they pass the first part, they can do the other 3 parts again for to earn the credential. And in terms of the facilities, they will receive the no cost knowledge-based test, which is the first part, to be used for their final exam after their nurses complete their orientation to the OR. And then they will get discounted testing seats for the nurses to complete the other 3 components of the CFPN credential. And they also could receive some either low cost or no cost perioperative specific preceptor training. And in terms of the community outreach component, our board of directors has an allotment each year, so that they can focus that money on promoting our DEI initiative, and they will be able to use that money to facilitate engagement in targeted areas. So we are approaching it from an individual standpoint, a facility standpoint, and a community outreach standpoint. In terms of the process, as I mentioned, the applications open on June 1st. They close on July 31st at 11:59 p.m. They will be reviewed and selected between August 1st and 31st, so all of August. And again, focus on underrepresented, under-resourced, and in need facilities and people. And then the notifications will be made for the first 2 weeks of September. And in terms of the award, they have 12 months to use it from the time they accept the award. And we are unable at this time to grant any extensions beyond that 12-month period. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of information about the individual application. And it lists the areas that we focus on in terms of identification, a functional disability, non-binary, male, LGBTQIA+, 40 years and under, and persons of color. And in the application, there is just an option to say, do any of these apply to you? We don't go into detail about which, if any, just do they or not apply. And then there is a narrative or personal statement component asking why the individual should get it. And the link is here, and the link is also on our website. And then I did just do some screenshots of the individual application to show what it looks like. So it just gives you some information and lets you know initially that that's due by July 31st. And then again, the population, they just want to know, do you identify as any of the following? We don't need to know which, just yes or no, you do or you don't. And then the next one is the personal statement. And we really wanted to give an opportunity for people to articulate why they feel like they should get this award, and then our DEI task force from our board of directors will review all of the applications and make the decisions. And then again, that just attesting that the information is correct, and then we need contact information. And then that is the individual application, so it's very short. The facility application is longer, so I don't have a sample of it, but I do have the information that it focuses on, looking for in-need communities. And again, it could be socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, age, language, gender, sexual orientation, mental or physical ability, and immigration status. And we're looking for facilities that focus on those populations, or if they function as a critical access hospital, or if they are located in a medically underserved area, if they have limited staffing levels, or if they have limited support for certification, education, and/or professional development. And then there are a variety of questions in the facility application that focus on these components. And then it's a longer application, of course, because we're asking more information about the facility than we did about the individual. And then it also does include a narrative or personal statement for the compelling reasons why the facility should receive the award. And that link is also on our website. And that wraps up our presentation. So we'll just go ahead and open it up to questions now.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa and Jim. We did have a few questions come through during the presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and go over those. But I did want to remind attendees that if you do want to ask a question, you can do so now in the chat feature of the control panel that should appear on your screen. So the first question we have that came through: why is CCI starting this DEI initiative now?
So the one thing we did not share in our history is, just like facilities have accreditation programs, CCI is accredited. Our accrediting bodies, one of the questions we get asked about the nature of our programs is, what's the overall makeup of all of perioperative nursing, and what do you do to make sure that you actually represent that? So the people that are putting together your exams, do they reflect all of perioperative nursing? Over the last 2 or 3 years, they've become much more focused on those questions. And sadly, I'm the CEO and I work on those packets. We had a difficult time answering that because we weren't gathering the information. We had a number of assumptions about education level, et cetera, but we didn't have good data. So what we did have previously was no longer sufficient. And basically the accreditation board said we had to do it better. Once we started to get a closer look, we realized that we didn't represent all of perioperative nursing. And there were some very fundamental questions about how do people get into perioperative nursing. Some of it has to do with the resources that are available to the individual, but also to their facility. So we decided we would gather more information, do research, and then using the resources we have, make those available to see if we could be a positive influence in this issue.
And to piggyback on that, this is a very vital and important issue for our board of directors, and they made it a priority in terms of tasking Jim and I with operationalizing this program as quickly as we could, because they also want to leverage CCI's resources to help those who don't have the resources. So it was a high priority item for our board of directors as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Another question that came in: it seems the CFPN certification, or some part of that credential, is central to this initiative. Why is that?
We believe that engaging people early in their career will make a difference. And hopefully get them engaged professionally, keep them certified. They stay current because they have to do work for their research, et cetera. They have to move on to other credentials, learn new things. We believe that will have a positive effect. We're going to do research on that to see if that actually bears out. But we thought we would start in the beginning, offer resources that would be used for the facilities to build up their program. You know, what we often hear, especially from smaller facilities, some of which don't have a full-time nurse educator, they struggle to put together an orientation program that works with them. There's a lot of different perioperative orientation programs. Facilities drop their own. The common ingredient, though, is there's no test to become a perioperative nurse. We have a test. It's the knowledge-based test that has been constructed to ensure that people actually have the knowledge you need to start your work as a perioperative nurse, regardless of your program. And we would offer, you could use that resource then to determine maybe you need to make your program better, improve upon it, et cetera. So we're going to give you those resources. The one thing that we do well, we're good at developing tests. It's a big part of what we do. So we're going to offer that to the community and hope that they can make use of it. So we thought we'd begin early, even before they become a perioperative nurse, because if you have these assets, you can build a program around that, determine if your program's effective, make it better, and then do the best job you can with the resources you have, to build up the program that works for your facility.
And the other component of that is that this provides a solid foundation for success early on. And the idea being that they would earn the CFPN, then that would leverage them to be able to earn our next credential earlier than if they didn't have a CFPN. And it sets them up for not only lifelong certification, but success in the field. So if we focus on our credential that focuses on the early in their career nurses, that builds the foundation for success all through their careers.
And Lisa, you know, thinking on that, it gives them a record of success early in their career, and they can build on that. That was our rationale for why CFPN figures so prominently. And it was, the CFPN assets were very recently developed. We devoted a lot of resources to put all those components together. We think sharing those within perioperative nursing ultimately will be helpful. So the widest dissemination we get of those resources, that's another reason to focus and use this program. I will also point out that through the herein Foundation, we give grants for other credentials. So this is consistent with something we've been doing for many years. It's just we're going even earlier into the career progression with this offering.
Okay, thank you. We just had a question come through from an attendee. She asked, applications are to be submitted after individuals complete a basic perioperative nursing program, correct? I teach at a community college that is located in Southern California, which primarily supports a diverse group of students. We offer an OR nurse certificate program. These RNs either already work in a community hospital or are placed for clinical experience. It would be a great opportunity for these students to complete this CFPN to build their resumes.
All right, I have a suggestion. On this screen is our information. If this person, number one, I'm thrilled to hear that somebody in a community college, I'm ecstatic.
That's fabulous.
It's fabulous. We love to hear this. If you would, get Lisa's contact information. Contact Lisa. Let's set up a meeting to discuss how we may be able to help you. Hopefully, we can work it out through this program. If not through this program, let's still talk about how we can help you. We're not bound strictly by the timelines of this program. I will also point out, we are just getting started. So your feedback to say,
Oh, yeah.
great idea, but you know, in my setting, the time frame doesn't work. Please contact Lisa. The three of us will get together for a call and let's talk about what's possible. Lisa, I will also point out, Lisa's contact information, there's an error. It's Institute,
Oh, will you look at that?
INST. So it's L. Rosenfield at CC Institute. And I'm going to do one other
My
thing.
apologies.
Get ready to take notes. I'm going to give you my cell phone number. You can text me, you can call me, connect to us somehow. Let's talk about your need. My cell phone, this is the company's cell phone, 720-257-4372. So again, Jim Stobinski, 720-257-4372. Call us, contact Lisa, let's set up a meeting, and let's talk about how we can work with you on these assets for CFPN. We're open to other possibilities. So contact us and let's talk.
And in addition to that, the other thing to remember is that outside of this specific application process, we also have that allotment for each of our 10 board of directors focused on promoting our DEI work. So there may be some opportunity to use some of those resources as well. So we'll look forward to hearing from whoever had that question at the appropriate email for me with Institute spelled correctly, my apologies, or via Jim. And we will speak with you directly to see what we can work out.
And I will point out, we have at least 2 board members who live in California. This would be a perfect fit to connect and use some of their community resources to support you. But I will say again, hearing that a community college is offering perioperative nurse training, this is a great thing, and I'm very excited to hear that. In fact, I'd love to talk about curriculum and syllabus too.
Jim, I think you're the first person ever to say that.
Okay, I'll admit to that. The CCI actually teaches pre-licensure students. We think this is important. So yes, Jim gets kind of excited about writing a syllabus. I admit it.
It's good. You're in the right profession. Okay, one more question before we wrap up today. It seems like it's a worthwhile initiative, but is this just a one-time thing for 2022 this year?
That is a fabulous question. And while this is our inaugural year, we plan to continue this program. And based on the responses from this year's launch, we will take that information and adjust the budget for the following year accordingly, because we plan for this to be a continual program. It's not a one-shot type of thing. We want to continue to impact these populations and these people in a positive way by providing resources they may not otherwise have.
Okay, wonderful. Well, again, the CCI's contact information there is on the screen. I'd like to thank you again, Jim and Lisa, for a great presentation. And I'd like to encourage everyone to visit CCI's website at cc-institute.org. Quick reminder, you can obtain your certificate by completing today's post-webinar survey. The survey will be emailed within the next hour. You must complete the survey to receive your CE credit, and you will be able to download the certificate directly from your computer once the survey is submitted. If you have any questions, you can reach us at webinar@mdpublishing.com. Visit ortoday.com/webinars to view a calendar of upcoming webinars with OR Today. Thanks again, CCI, and we hope everybody has a great rest of the week and a very wonderful Memorial Day ahead. Bye, everyone.